Hey everyone, this is Debbie from Project 39 Mini Albums. I am showing you how to make this 6 1/4 by 6 1/4 folio. This is perfect for 6 by 6 paper pads or even 12 by 12, just cut it into 6 by 6 pieces. I am making several of these this month as part of our Paper Stash Smash collab, where I and several other YouTubers get together, well, not get together, we each use paper from our stash. The criteria for May was 6 by 6 paper pads, so I actually looked through some things I've already done in the past and I recreated it. So this is sort of a new take on an old project. I'll put that in the playlist along with several different folios that I used with different paper collections. So take a look at those and you'll get some ideas on different ways of doing closures, of decorating, of using your paper. So anyhow, again, 6 1/4, 6 1/4, about 1/2 inch tall. The inside of page 1 has a flap with a bottom flap. You could add something here for a tuck spot. You could put a smaller pocket here and have cut aparts come in here to keep it closed, or you could use magnets, or you could use 2 circle closures, whatever you want to do. And you could also, instead of rounding the corners, you could use a die. And as well, so that's page 1. Here's page 2. I used a plate to make a template to round this. Again, you could use a die if you wanted to, or just any kind of punch if you have a edge punch. This has a very large pocket, so you could put a 6 by 6 cut apart in here, or 6 by 6 piece of paper, and put photos on there. You could put a little booklet in there too if you wanted to. Page 3 is just a side flap on the right side, smaller flap on the left. And again, you could use different closures for that. You could add a pocket here, a pocket there, so many things to do. And then page 4 is just a smaller piece, and it's a pocket with a flap. And then the gusset here is 1/8, 1/4, 1/2. So that'll close like this, that'll close like that, and that'll close like that. So it's real simple, but it's a great way of using your stash and of doing a quick project, so you can add some photos to it. So let me show you how to make it. All right, we're obviously going to start with page 1. So page 1 is 7 1/4 by 10 1/4. And here's a hint. I print out an extra copy of my cutting guide and then just cut it out and just lightly tack it. I use a little dab of ATG. So lightly tack it, so then I know I've got everything cut out and ready to score. So this one we're going to score with the 7 1/4 side at the top. We'll score it 1/2 inch and at 1 inch. 1/2 inch and 1 inch. Then rotate. When we rotate it around to the right so your score lines are at the top. Although ultimately I don't think it matters, but we're going to score it 6 1/4. Our base mini album is going to be 6 1/4. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my scissors. Now you could use, I'm going to erase this. You could use your paper trimmer if you want, or a sharp X-Acto, but it's easier in my mind to use your scissors. Okay, so with our score lines, the 2 score lines to the right, I'm going to take my scissors and just cut on the score line up to that second line. Okay, just like that. Now I'm going to cut this whole piece off that's got the double score lines. So just cutting on this piece. So we've got that off. And then I'm going to miter. And so we've got the 2 tabs, the 1/2 inch and then where we scored it 1. I'm going to just miter this smaller one, or the outside one, the one to the right. How's that? So there we've got that piece. Now since I've got it, I'm going to fold and burnish on our score lines. I am using, and I can't tell you what brand, but it's 65-pound cardstock for the base of the album. Okay, so that's done. Now our second piece is going to be 6 1/4 by 3 1/2. And this one, we're going to put the 3 1/2 side at the top and score it 1/2 inch. This craft paper is, I mean, it's 65-pound weight, it says, but it does feel a little bit heavier. And I guess just the whole nature of it being craft, it, you know, just when you score it, the fibers are all funky. All right, so let's just fold and burnish on our score line. And we will take that with the 2 score lines up to the right. We will put glue on here and glue this to the bottom of our page 1. So just line up the bottom. I've got extra glue on here. You don't want to make sure you stay to the left of the score line. And burnish. Now, if you want to, you can miter this tab on the top, which I'm going to. Not miter, round, corner round. So I'm using, I think this is a We Are Memory Keepers, or We Are, and I'm using the largest one. I couldn't tell you what the size is, but just the largest one. All right, let's put that aside and let us do page 2. All right, page 2, you'll need 2 pieces. One that's 6 1/2 by 7 1/4. One that is 6 1/4 by 8 1/2. I'm going to bring in our scoreboard, and with the 6 1/4 and 8 1/2 inch one, with the 8 1/2 inch side at the top, we'll just score at 6 1/4. Lots of 6 1/4s in here. I made it so a 6 by 6 paper pad will fit on here easy. Next, we'll take the 6 1/2 and by 7 1/4 piece with the 7 1/4 side at the top. We're going to score at 1/2 inch, rotate, score at 1/2 inch, rotate one more time and score at 1/2 inch. So this is going to be a pocket. With a pocket, you'll score on 3 sides. I'm going to take my scissors and miter. So I'll first miter the top. So just cut a little sliver off of the top. And then at the bottom, there's an X created by our 2 score lines. We'll just cut right across that X. And then on this one, there is no scoring. We'll just fold it and burnish on that score line. We do have other things to do with that, but this one we'll fold and burnish on our 3 score lines. And let's make a little notch there. So I have a notcher. You could use a circle. And if I didn't have that, I would be using a circle. To find the center, I'm going to just put the corners together. And I'm not going to fold it. I'm just going to find that center and just get a crease just right at that center. And with this, there's a little line on my thing. If you have a circle punch, you might have the same thing. And it doesn't have to be perfect. But I'm going to just do a little notch on that one. Okay, for this, so this is a lunch plate. It is 8 1/2 inches across. I am going to do my best to center this on here, and I think that's pretty grody. This one is not much better, but I got it. All right, I'm going to put this down here. I'm going to put that at the top and try to center it. So there should be 1/8 of an inch. Put it at the top. We're good there. Okay. Now I'm going to try to put the very top of this at the center. So that should be there. And then where the paper, where the plate intersects with the paper, I'm going to try to put it at 1 1/4 inch down, or as close as I can. Now, if you want, you don't need to use a plate. You could use a decorative punch. You could use a die if you've got a fun die that's got some nice edging to it. I just thought I'd do something different with this and use a round flap. And then I'm going to cut it as close to that score line, right on the score line with my scissors, and I will do my best to save this. It looks like it's going to come in 2 pieces, so I will do my best to save it. Yep, I was real close to the edge there. Okay, so there we go. And I'm going to erase my pencil line. I just add something a little different. A different edging creates a different look to the page. All right, so now I have this, and I have my other piece, which is actually a pocket. I'm going to add glue just to the bottom tab. And line this up on the bottom. I don't like all this stuff on my desk. I like to make sure I have lots of room. Okay, so we just have the bottom. So I'm going to take a piece of tape. I cut that pretty big. And no, don't stick to my surface. And cut that. And burnish, so that way when you're putting something in the pocket, if you don't put paper all the way down, which I may not, it will, it won't get hung up. I'll add glue. And burnish that down. And before I burnish it all the way, I'll just push in here, just so this is not flat against there, make it easier to get things in and out of the pocket. All right, so there's that. All right, let's put that aside and work on page 3. So page 3. Let's start with this 7 by 6 1/4. You'll also need 5 1/2 by 6 1/4 and 2 1/2 by 6 1/4. And grab our scoreboard. And our 7 by 6 1/4 with the 7-inch side at the top, we're going to score it at 1/2 inch. end at 3/4. I'll just put that aside for now. And then with these the 2.5 by 6 1/4, with the 2.5 inch side at the top, score it at 1/2 inch. And the 5.5 by 6 1/4, with the 5.5 inch side at the top, score it 1/2 inch. All right, we're going to miter. So for the smaller pieces, we're just, well, actually for all of them, but these we're just going to miter on that 1/2 inch tab. And for this, so you've got the 1/2 inch tab, and then you've got a 1/4 inch gusset. We're just going to miter on that 1/2 inch tab. Fold and burnish on the score line. Okay, so the score lines are going to stay over to the left. Going to take the 2.5 inch piece, and it's going to go to the right of that second score line. So you'll still see the 1/4 inch gusset and the 1/2 inch tab showing after you put this down. I'm going to put this down, make sure it's straight up and down by making sure the top and bottom. And I'm over just a smidgen. A smidgen in technical terms in this case is a 32nd of an inch. I don't know. I'm making it up. So just a smidgen. And then this one we're going to put over to the right side. And you can line this up with the edge of the paper. See, it's going together pretty easy, isn't it? I suppose you could round the corners if you wanted to. I didn't think about that, so I am not. All right, let's get out the next ones. 4 3/4 by 8 1/2. 5 1/8 by 6. 4 3/4 by 8 1/2. 5 1/8 by 6. The 4 3/4 by 8 1/2 with the 8 1/2 side at the top, we're going to score at 6 1/4. We're going to rotate, and we're going to score this at, let me take this off. Half an inch and 5/8. And the 5/8 by 6 with the 5 1/8 side at the top, score at half. Rotate, score at half. Rotate and score at half. And then I'm also going to, now you could use a ruler and measure this. I'm not saying this is the right way. This is the lazy man's way. So I'm going to do a little thumb notch on that piece. All right, let's do some trimming. All right, this one's easy. This one you should know. We're going to miter at the top, cut across the X created by our score lines. All right. right, we'll fold that and burnish that in a second. Move that over. Okay, this one, I've got the smaller portion facing me. I'm going to cut up on the score line. And when I say cut up on the score line, stay to the inside. So stay to the left of the score line if the tabs are facing to the right. Meaning don't cut right in the center of the score. And then cut straight across. And now we're going to miter. So we'll miter at the bottom and miter on this 1/2-inch tab. So we're not mitering this 1/8 of an inch gusset, but we are going to fold and burnish. Oh, you know something? I'm sorry. When we scored this, we scored it at 6 1/4. Score it also at 6 3/8. Just, I wanted another gusset to match with this. All right, and we'll fold and burnish on that score line. And then here I'm going to round the corner of this. So this is going to be a top flap, and then this is going to be the pocket. So fold and burnish on the score lines. And we're going to do the same thing. We're going to add glue to this bottom tab. Making sure I'm right at the bottom. Add some tape here. Now this is obviously optional. And then we'll glue these down. And burnish. Okay, so we've got a pocket, and we've got our tab, we've got a flap. If you want to, you can go around and put magnets on here and on the other ones. Well, or let's just do it as we go. All right, let's pull in all of our pieces. Okay, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right, so 1 is the one that we've got the 2 1/2-inch tab and a gusset is how I'm going to phrase it. It's got the flap on the top and the flap on the bottom. And number 2 is the one that we've rounded, and it's got the big pocket. So what we're going to do is put number 2 onto number 1. So I'm going to add glue to this 1/2-inch tab, not the one close to it, not what we're going to make as a gusset. And just glue this on to the right of the score line, not right on the score line, but to the right of it. Make sure the bottoms are all lined up. Okay, so there's that one. Now for this one, we've got the 1/2-inch tab and a 1/4-inch gusset. We're going to put glue on that 1/2-inch tab. And we're going to line it up so it's even on the bottom. And fold and then burnish. All right, and then we have our final piece. I guess I could take this off because we can. So we're going to glue this. Let me fold this onto that. So add glue to that 1/2 inch tab. And line everything up. So stay to the left of that score line, so it'll still fold. And burnish. And that is the base of our little folio. Now listen, there's lots you can do with this. You could add a little pocket here if you wanted to. You could add a pocket here. You could do a diagonal piece. And as I'm decorating these, because I'm trying to do more than one, you'll see a couple of different options. When you're decorating this, I wouldn't worry about this, but this will fold like this. And then this will fold here. But I would probably add a little bit of paper. So this is a quarter, not a quarter, yeah, a 1/4 of an inch. So I would add a piece just a smidgen smaller than a 1/4 of an inch. And here this is a 1/2 inch. I definitely would add a piece there. And so that goes like that. And then when I made it, I added ribbon here and here to close it, but you may not want to. So that is the base of our folio. And here are some peeks at some of the projects I made using this folio base. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel so you can see these completed folios. Thank you so much for watching and have a fabulous day.